On today's episode of Talk Mortgage to Me, we are back with my friend Ashley Bedford, one of the top mortgage brokers in the entire United States. She lives in Orlando, Florida. It's where she operates her business, and most of her clients are served in the greater Central Florida area.
Yeah.
Now, Ashley has an amazing story today about how she was able to find a way to yes with a veteran home buyer. So this was a gentleman where everyone else had told him that he was not eligible for VA financing. This is a situation that no one, and I mean no one, would ever want to navigate what this man went through during his home buying process. But the fact that Ashley did not give up on him is A, a testament to Ashley, but B, there's an amazing story to any potential home buyer out there that feels like they're in a similar situation, not to give up hope, but to find the right professional to advocate for you. So Ashley, walk us through this scenario. First, start with about how long ago was this?
About 8 years ago. I was
Okay.
probably 2 years into my career, so I was still a baby.
Yeah, so you're a baby in the industry. You've been a licensed mortgage broker for 2 years. This is a client that obviously this story resonates because in your career you have helped hundreds, if not almost thousands, finance their home.
Yeah.
But this is one of those that will probably always stay with you.
Oh yeah, and they're like family to me now.
And it's where a client has become like family. So
Yeah.
walk us through the scenario.
So I had a veteran call me and they said, I can't even get a certificate of eligibility, but I have VA disability. And I said, well, this doesn't sound right. And I'm a little naive broker that's like, oh, well, he's got to be able to get this. So,
All right, so pause.
yeah.
So for the audience tuning in,
Yes.
a VA home loan is one of the best
Yes.
financial instruments for any home buyer. Unfortunately, you have to be a qualified veteran or active duty military to be able to utilize a VA home loans.
Yes.
Like there are situations where spouses could use a VA home loan, but that tends to only be if your spouse was active duty
And you're not remarried. Yeah.
and they were typically they passed away
In the line of work.
While they are still employed by the
Absolutely.
military, right? So most times what we see on the lending side are we're seeing people who are either active duty or they're a qualified veteran.
Yeah.
But if you're not a qualified veteran, then we can't do a loan for you.
Absolutely.
And we know whether or not you're a qualified veteran because we are able to pull your COE, which stands for your Certificate of Eligibility.
Yes.
So Ashley has a client who is being told that they are not eligible because they don't have a COE.
Exactly.
All right,
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I decide that I'm going to call the VA, and anybody who knows calling any government agency is not an easy process. So I put in his application and they send me a decline. I'm like, absolutely not. He has VA disability. I read through his DD 214 to see what we have. He was in an accident on his way to basic, so he hadn't done any qualified service, but he was still in mission to there, right?
Okay, so very unique situation.
Very unique situation.
So this is a very unique situation. where
Has
he is-
100% disability.
So that means
Yeah.
he's receiving disability income
Yes.
from the U.S. government based
VA,
on his
yeah.
time being in the military.
Yes.
However, his time in the military was minimal.
Minimal,
Because you said he got into a car accident while he was in basic training.
Yes, and
So-
he was like deployed from the car, like because at
He was
this time
ejected.
ejected.
From,
Yes.
From the car.
Yes.
Yeah. So he suffered some severe bodily injury
Exactly,
from his
yeah.
car accident.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, but it happened during a time at which he was active duty.
Yep.
And therefore he qualifies for the VA's disability income. And you
Yep.
said 100%.
100%.
Because
Yeah.
some people only receive 10%, some people
Yep.
receive 100%, others somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, logically, this makes no sense.
No
How can
sense.
you be paying someone
Yeah.
100% disability, yet telling him that he is not eligible for his VA home loan benefits?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did that process look like besides calling the VA?
So I got the decline, and it puts the specialist's name at the bottom. Poor Ann got a phone call from me every single day.
So
I was
the
like, this
person
doesn't make
declining
sense.
it has to put their name at the
Yes.
bottom. Okay.
And this is when you could call the VA because now you can't quite call them. There's a whole portal system. But I was calling them every single day. Like, I didn't care. I'm like, hey, let's talk about this story again. Like, you're declining a veteran, someone like who was choosing to serve our country, even though he didn't get to because of an accident on the way there. You've got to give him a certificate of eligibility. This makes no sense. You're telling me you pay 100% disability. So she was able to pull all of his records back to then.
Probably not easy.
Which is not easy.
They probably weren't all electronically recorded.
Exactly, yeah. And 6 months later, we get a certificate of eligibility.
6 months.
6 months, yeah.
So you
and I call him and I say, we have a certificate of eligibility.
So you worked for 6 months, not to get a loan approved, just to tell this guy
Correct.
that yes, you qualify for financing.
Yes.
Here's how much home to go out shopping for.
Yes, and he had very limited funds, but thankfully, we were not in crazy COVID times, so this was way before we could ask for seller concessions, things like that. But he still had limited funds. But he finally finds a house, gets under contract. His son is also his son was an active duty military. He came back from Iraq at the time, and when he came back, unfortunately, 2 weeks into the transaction, his son was T-boned by a semi-truck and killed at that time.
Wow,
and
devastating. So you have him finally approved to go out and buy a home.
Yeah. With very minimal funds, by the way, because this will come into play.
Yeah, with very minimal funds. But it's good to know that, if you are active duty military or you yourself are a veteran, you don't need that much money. VA home loans, 100% financing.
Yes.
And you can negotiate in most markets. You can negotiate with the seller to cover all of your closing costs.
Yeah.
So you can get into a home utilizing your VA benefits sometimes a lot cheaper than you can rent a home, because rental will require first month plus a security deposit, and you could potentially get into a new home with less than $1,000 out of your pocket.
And sometimes less than that.
Well, and sometimes less than that. I don't want to make any promises,
And pay off your debt.
and pay off your debt. Using those 4% seller concessions. Wow, that's like a whole nother segment.
That's a whole nother segment.
Okay, but he gets the devastating news.
Yeah.
That his son had been killed in a horrific car accident.
Yeah. So the realtor had told me, and but I needed some documents, and I called him and I said, I know you're going through the most tragic time of your life, but I just want to ask you one question. Like, do you want to proceed with this house? Because if you do, I'm going to be your logical sounding board. I'm going to be very dry, and we're going to get the things that need to be done, and I'm going to help you get through this process. Whether that means me coming to your house, getting your documents, like whatever it takes, I'm going to get you this, because I know now that your daughter-in-law and your granddaughter need a home to stay in, as well as you and your wife. So you need to provide a stability for them. So do you want to buy this house? And he said yes. And then he said, but I'm worried because I need to pay for his funeral, which was, if I remember correctly, like $3,200. But that was the money he had for closing.
Oh, wow.
And so we literally looked into everything. He sent me the receipt for it. We were just like going at things, like putting on credit cards, figuring out how we could figure out our debt to income with that. And then he closed on the house, and I said, I'll be logical now, and then we'll cry together at closing, because this is horrific and no one should have to go through this. But I know you need this safe place right now. And so we did. We got to closing. It was a rough ride, which I pride myself in not rough rides, but we can't control these situations. And it's been able to provide stability for him, his wife, his now grown granddaughter, and all of that. So it's been very beneficial to them. They've had a low rate for all this long, a lot of different things have been able to help them do a cash out refinance to pay off debt, to use that equity whenever his wife lost her job. So there's just been a lot of things that this house has been able to provide for them. And if you're calling these big name banks, they're not going to hold your hand and walk you through these emotional times, because you're just another transaction.
Yeah, no, I think that is, there's a lot to unpack just in this one story, and a lot that the audience can learn from this one story. But if I were to put a bow on like what you're able to do, like, yes, you found a way to yes.
Yeah.
But even to be that sounding board that says, look, I know that something horrific just happened to you. However, I also know that what we're doing can benefit the entire family, not just this man and his wife, but now it's his widowed daughter-in-law, his granddaughter. So you provided a home for that girl to grow up in, right? You provided security to someone who just lost her husband.
Yeah.
And then the financial impact, yes, they've now been homeowners for 8 years, 8 of the best years to be a homeowner. So they've accumulated a couple $100,000 worth of additional wealth. They've leveraged that wealth to pay off debt, to pull themselves out of a financial situation when there was job loss and debt was incurred, all because their mortgage broker didn't give up on them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think that would be a big takeaway, is the importance of finding local lenders and local real estate agents who believe in the relational aspect and not the transactional aspect. But it's also, learning how not to take no for an answer, that if there's a will, there's a way, and that even when life throws you the worst of the worst curveballs, that it doesn't mean we have to curl up in a fetal position and give up. It means we may have to power through and lean on someone stronger, because in the long run, it was what was best for the family. And I'd say congratulations to you for being that type of professional. And to the audience, it's understanding how not to give up, understanding what's possible, and it's understanding the importance of having the right professionals in your corner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Ashley, thank you for joining us
Thank you.
again for another edition of Talk Mortgage to Me. If you all have questions, you can reach out to Ashley directly, or you can see the links below in the comments in order to achieve a free home buying consultation based on your unique scenario.